What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have a POV playtest on Mizuno Alpha 2 made in Japan, and now I'm going to tell you why it's one of my favorite boots on the market. It's probably my boot of the year, to be honest, but in today's video I'm just going to talk more about the boot and tell you why this is my favorite boot currently. Before we start the video, if you guys could like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate that, and we'll get right into it. Alright guys, so here we have the cleats on feet, and for me these are really comfortable. I just really like the way they fit. They're kind of similar to the last generation. They did make a few tweaks, which I think for me they just make them more comfortable. So the toe box is just a little bit more round, and so my toes aren't being squeezed all that much. The toe box in the last generation was just a little bit more narrow, and so like you felt like your toes being squeezed. But this time around they are a little bit better. They're just a little bit rounder and they have more volume. So for me they're just more comfortable. I really appreciate that. Fit in the ankle is way better. It kind of hugs your ankle way better. And the boot overall, just, I don't know, for me they fit really well. I really like it. The touch on the ball, for me, I do feel that it is a bit more thin compared to the previous model, just because that foam cage does get a little bit of like, it's reduced, so it's not as padded, so it's just slightly thinner, which I guess is better if you do want more of a barefoot touch on the ball. It feels pretty pingy, but it takes away the sting just a little bit. And in terms of like the upper having grip, it doesn't really have any grip, to be honest. It's mostly kind of slick. It's not super grippy compared to other boots on the market, like the Vapor, like, or the F50 doesn't have any like texture on top. Maybe depending on the colorway. I've heard that some of them are more matte, some of them have like a different finish, so depending on that, I guess. But this pair that I do have doesn't really have any like stuff. So the upper also changed, and so this one's way more structured than the previous model, and it's not as soft. So if you guys really like that soft feeling from the first generation, it's not going to be that soft compared to this one. It's just more structured, especially because you do have that Zero Glide lining, which honestly is crazy just because there's no movement in this boot whatsoever. It is a super locked in sensation. And it kind of goes to the extreme, to be honest. Does it need to have the Zero Glide and lining and all that stuff? No, not really. But if you want just a super locked in boot, this is the boot to have. Alright guys, so now we're going to do some shuffles. I just set up the cones, and I'll be able to talk more about the sole play as well as like the heel. Yeah, so this sole plate is pretty fantastic. It has a nice carbo insert in the forefoot, and so you get that really nice snappy feel. It is on the flatter side, and so when you're kind of on your toes, you kind of feel like that push off, like that the carbo is kind of working and kind of helping you. Does it really do all that much? Honestly, no, don't know, but that feeling that you get when on your toes is really nice. Like you just kind of want to sprint and run. And also this sole plate feels pretty normal. It's pretty flat, and so there isn't really like a lift in the toe, which is nice. Sometimes when there's a lift, it can feel kind of weird when you're passing all that stuff. So this one's on the flatter side, but once you're on your toes and you're gonna push off, you just feel that carbo insert. And then the heel, for me, it's great. There isn't a ton of padding. It's not super padded. There's like just the right amount of padding in the heel, so it's comfortable. And then the Zero Glide liner just makes it so the heel doesn't move at all, doesn't slip. There's no like movement there. It's fantastic in terms of performance. And in terms of comfort, it is pretty comfortable heel. The stud pattern is all triangle studs. They aren't too long, so for me, I can use them here on this AG. There's a decent amount of studs, and so they feel pretty balanced. They are aggressive, but not too aggressive, so I feel safe wearing them here. Obviously, there is an AG sole plate for these, and that sole plate is fantastic. I do recommend getting that if you do play on like AG surfaces. But for me, honestly, the FG one is really nice, and sadly on the AG you do miss out on the carvo. So that kind of sucks. I wish Mizuno would add that cargo in the AG sole plate, but I kind of understand why they didn't, just because with an AG one you want more of a flexible, so you have more studs underneath your foot at all times. Alright, so now with driven, like I said, there isn't really any like added texture, nothing, no grip, so they feel pretty thick on the ball. Like I said, they feel nice and thin. No distractions for the most part. Like the cage itself is pretty thin, no padding to it whatsoever, really. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy like hearing my thoughts on why this is my favorite boot. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the Alpha 2. If you have tried it, let me know what you guys think. The Alpha 2 is just my favorite boot. If I were to pick a boot right now, it would be this one. Like, it's just fantastic in my opinion, and I told you guys already why. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're notified for future videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.